Welcome, everybody, to Greg Talks to People, a show designed to cure my social anxiety because everything is expensive and going places hurts my wallet. On today's show, we have formerly of Wrestling Daily, WrestleTalk, currently a Wrestle Purist, and most importantly, he is the Jote Goat, Set E. Niangi. Set, it is always a pleasure to speak with you, my friend.
Joke Goat, listen, that is forever. I am father, partner, whatever. Joke Goat will be in a list of things that I'm proud of being. I was champion for quite a bit, shockingly. There's hiatus that you took also kind of helped my stats as well in terms of defenses and the length and stuff like that. But thank you so much for inviting me. I'm quite excited. I haven't talked to you in a while. I do want to ask you how you feel about the Paul Levesque Rumbles, because I feel like the last two were Rumbles. Well, last year wasn't that bad. I think Jay winning it was a surprise, but I think how they booked it in retrospect has made that win kind of a dud. But it just felt like Royal Rumble's lost its luster, especially the one that's happened in the recent, this year, basically.
Yeah, the last two Rumbles have been underwhelming. I think they had, like, the women's ones have been better than the men's easily.
Bailey's one was good. Bailey's one was good. Bailey's
the 2024 one, I have as a top 5 Rumble all time. That was so good. That entire Rumble was so good. But yeah, the last couple have been, and maybe Saudi hindered it. Maybe it was that.
Listen, 100%. I was gonna say it, but yeah, 100%. To the point where I was like, that's where WrestleMania is going to be. Yeah? That's not good advertisement for it. So
no.
No.
All right. So we've heard about your origin story with the audition tape that you just sent to Alex McCarthy to give him Wrestling Daily. But
yes,
going back even further than that, where did your love of wrestling come from?
Ooh, good question. So I was telling my partner this because she said that it's impossible for like a 2-year-old to remember things. But I remember I was 2 years old in my living room watching. So it's quite hard to remember what was the first wrestling match I ever saw because it was through my parents. Just to answer your question, it was either Skinner versus Bret Hart or Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan. But it's both from the same pay-per-view or special, which was Tuesday Night in Texas. And the thing with Tuesday Night in Texas is because I was a kid, I guess it was a once-in-a-lifetime show. So I grew up thinking I'm Mandela affected Undertaker and Hulk Hogan because they had two matches, right? At Survivor Series, Undertaker wins. The one I watch, Hulk Hogan wins. So every time I watch Survivor Series, I mistakenly thought that I watched Survivor Series. That was the show because that's the only thing. Tuesday Night Texas did not appear unless you go on Wikipedia and you specifically look for miscellaneous shows. That was one off. That didn't pop up until like years later. I was like, wait, Tuesday Night in Texas, Skinner and Brett. I remember that. And you're like British Bulldog and Warlord or whatever it is. I was like, I remember that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and Undertaker and Hulk Hogan. I was like, this is the show. That was my first wrestling show. Watched it, gravitated towards it because as a kid, bright, yellow and red, and then the dead man like Undertaker. You it kind of like sticks in your head. And also WrestleMania 8 and SummerSlam 92. Those were my foundational pay-per-views because those were the first two pay-per-views I watched. I had WrestleMania 8 on VHS cassette. It was the Silver Vision one, and SummerSlam 1992. We filmed it. We recorded it off TV. So I had a videotape of SummerSlam 1992. A bit of it kind of cut off a bit because my parents like recording over stuff. So it's French news on it, and then it kind of like grainy into the Road Warriors entrance. And then after SummerSlam 92, I got Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. So the continuation of what happened after SummerSlam. So in that tape, it was Ric Flair defeating Macho Man for the title with Razor Ramon's interference, all that kind of stuff. And I cherished that video because it was like a epilogue of like what happened after the show. Where did the rest of the storylines go? I had like over nearly 4 hours of content on that videotape, and I cherish it so much. So those were my earliest memories of wrestling.
There you go. Now, we mentioned Wrestling Daily. How was the transition to go from Wrestling Daily? Because Wrestling Daily feels like it was a lot longer than it was, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
And how was the transition to go from that to WrestleTalk?
Good question. The transition was, I want to say it was quite seamless because we were still in the pandemic era. So my first show I did for WrestleTalk was the Money in the Bank, the one Big E and Nikki ASH won. And I want to say it's 2021, if I'm not. Yes, I mean it was the year before my daughter was born, so that would make so much sense. Anyway, yeah. So that was my first show, and we did it, via online or remote. And then when I went into the studio, that was the big difference. When I went into the studio, the WrestleTalk studio, and I did the news and I did the podcast, that was a bit different. That was like I became much more aware of things. It's kind of like the camera's there, and then people are gonna see what you do, and you can't self-edit. If they do edit you, but you can't self-edit in the moment to know if you're coming out the way you want to come out. So for me, I want to say working on Wrestling Daily was a great training ground for me. That's what I want to say. But when it came to doing the live portion of it, it was kind of like jarring. But obviously, I picked myself up and roll with it. That was like more of internal dialogue than anything. So it wasn't too bad, basically.
All right. Now, I have a feeling you've had negativity thrown your way because I feel like all creatives do. How do you exactly handle the negativity that you get on social media or otherwise?
Good question. How do I handle negativity? So first of all, if you're a performer, I think you naturally want to give people the best show. Because no matter what people say about, oh, don't care about the comments, is like, what are you doing in the first place? If you didn't really care, you wouldn't put yourself out there. You would just give your opinions to the privacy of your friendship circle and stuff like that. So when I do see like negative feedback, there were times when people, when I did the news as an example, I may be an Englishman, but I'm from East London. I guess my East London accent wasn't to everyone's liking. They were used to that. Oh, I'm Posh RP. Welcome to WrestleTalk TV. Chili cheerio, good fellow. And then I come in and I speak in my thick East London accent. Some people said they didn't understand me, and I was like, "What? I'm speaking English. What I'm saying. You can't, translate what I'm saying." Okay, there was that, and also there'll be times when I was known for being overly optimistic or positive with my review of wrestling, and I was always kind of like, let's see where things go. I'm not quick to judge, but the moment is like 1 week I did have opinions and I did judge. Some people didn't like that opinion of me judging, wherever it is. So to answer your question, it was getting used to it, right? Because in your mind, you're like, if you're a heel, you want negative perception or negative reaction. But I'm not being it, I'm just being myself. So when I see negative reaction, the best thing I can say is you can't control what you can't control. Control what you can control, which is yourself. And if people like you, great. If they don't, they're entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And I realized you can never please everyone. Because I remember there was times when, again, the news aspect, if there was a criticism like, oh, I didn't understand what you said. You spoke a bit too slow. I'll speed up. You spoke a bit too fast. I legit would take the feedback online and implement it. And sometimes it wasn't even good enough. I was like, I mean, they made me realize, as much as I said that you do something and people's opinion, sometimes you don't give a fuck. You get to that point. That's what I'm trying to get at. You get to a point where you're like, they're always going to feel how they're going to feel. You can't control how people's emotion are towards you. If it's great, great. If it's negative, it's negative. Just keep on moving and just be yourself. So all I can be is be authentic. And I just don't really care as much. It's just opinions, it's noise. I care about people like yourself, people that I respect. Obviously, people are entitled to their opinion, and it's great. And I'm not going to try and start saying that everyone's comments in the comment section means nothing. It's just like I choose to have peace.
That's very wise. Now, how much of a game changer was it for you to be on Quizlemania, and what was your favorite part about your time with WrestleTalk and Parts Fun Mountain?
Quizlemania. Listen, I think everyone fell in love with Quizlemania during the pandemic. It helped for a lot of people get through the pandemic, and I never thought like I'll be watching the show and eventually I'll be on it. It was through my links with Will Ospreay. Shout out Will Ospreay. I do always want to shout him out because it was through him that I was able to get in contact with Ollie in the first place. But I was invited to do Quizlemania. Interacting with Adam and everyone else. Tempest. The first time I got to interact with him was via camera, weirdly enough. And right now he's one of my closest friends, in real life. And I can't wait to see him because we're going to whenever this is recorded, we're seeing that Pro Wrestling Eve show, Wrestle Queendom. I want to see him. I'm gonna share a big hug. It was big. I love the show. To be on it was awesome. I wanted to win it at least once. I did pat myself on the back that I came second place the first time I did it, but never reached that. I never reached that closeness ever again. I was never final two at the Royal Rumble ever again. But it was nice to get that close, even though I did lose in the end. But yeah, for me, it made a lot of people discover me who didn't watch me on Wrestling Daily, and yeah, it was good, man. That's how I can say it was good.
Now, the decision to go with WrestlePurists, and you mentioned Tempest, you guys both do a show there. How difficult was that for you to move on from WrestleTalk?
So again, it's funny as we're talking about WrestleTalk. Some people will be like, because a lot of people did think I left, but I do want to specify that I've always been a freelancer. And I continue to choose to be a freelancer because there were opportunities presented my way to be with them more on a full-time basis. But monetary reasons were why I always backed away from doing anything full-time with them, because I need a specific amount of money to make, because I got, again, 2 kids, a partner, and there's a pay rent in this house, which is mortgaged, but and part of still paying rent. There's all these situations. I needed money, and I couldn't accept less. And if they couldn't really give me what I needed, which I could see, I was happy to stay freelancer. So when Tempest left WrestleTalk, he was approached by WrestlePurist, Monty, about doing a show. And he got to choose any person that he wanted to co-host with. And he approached me to do it. And at that time, it's been a few months since I'd done anything with WrestleTalk, because, I was notoriously known for having shows that got cancelled. And, as much as I like to make a joke, oh, yeah, you put me on, the show gets cancelled. That's because I did feel like, by the time I get invited or asked to do a show, is people already moved on that were involved in it, and I was like the last person to be given a slot. So it's kind of like NXT Black and Gold, and then I legit was given NXT 2.0. Do you know what I mean? I was legit given. That's the best way to describe what my tenure was in terms of doing the shows. I was doing the shows when it wasn't hot anymore. When Bloodline was running things, even though I did join, when I did SmackDown review is when Bray Wyatt came back. So things were still on the up and up. But I do feel like by the time I got in there, the numbers weren't the same. Like it used to be like, 20,000 people would watch it, or I hope I'm not conflating it, like 10, whatever. And then by the time I started into single digits, I was like, it's not gonna last. So my shows weren't lasting for too long. But WrestlePurist was there because I wasn't really doing much. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Because in my mind, I'm a freelancer. So whenever Wrestle wants to do something with me, I'll come back. But, I've been mostly doing stuff with WrestlePurist since I started. And it's been different, but also not too different. It's kind of like Wrestling Daily in a lot of ways, because I'm doing it from the comfort of my own home. And it's me and Tempest. We don't have a set time limit anymore. We don't have to worry about, if you go over an hour or whatever, blah, blah, there's no curfews. We can do it the show length however we want it to do. And that's the attractive part of doing a show with WrestlePurist. And also, WrestlePurist is also known for being a place for great wrestling conversations, because, everybody knows about Ibu. Philip Lindsay of, Grab City does, show there. Joe Hobart, like, he's, blown up in the wrestling space. You see wrestlers, interacting with him. So, and Lyric, she's one of my favorite wrestling minds as well. So a lot of great wrestling people that I respect, they're part of WrestlePurist, and it's an honor to be invited along the ride. I'm the Brutus Beefcake to Tempest Hulk Hogan, because he's the one that got invited, and I, Trojan horse my way into the whole situation.
Just a little bit of Megamaniacs from WrestleMania 9. It's okay.
Why not? I wanted them to win, by the way. It just didn't make sense that it didn't. It was even if it was like for a week, it's just like do it, and then they had other reasons. The first ever Money in the Bank cashed by Hulk Hogan.
Oh boy. Now, I think this question is just for us, because you and I are both big wrestling themed guys. So, with that said, I want to know what wrestling theme from history you think is maybe not the most, but among the most underrated or underappreciated.
Oh, so it'll be easy to say "Just Look at Me" by Rob Conway, because he didn't have it for that long. Because think about it, it was a great theme on a guy that was rarely featured. So if you're like me, right? You hear a theme song, you're like, I want more of it. Like, what do you mean you're giving a job at entrance? That's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So there's that, and then you know what? Sylvester Terkai's first 2 theme songs before he had the the rap version, the one that Elijah Burke inherited. Those two themes for me, they're badass. Bill DeMott themes were also badass as well.
Mhm.
Like the guitar riff on it is incredible. I was gonna mention Bob Buchanan, but I don't think Bob Buchanan was made by Jim Johnston. As much as when you get old, you start to differentiate in your ear what is a Jim Johnston generic theme and what is, stock music. Tommy Dreamer, Innovator, because he had many versions, but Innovator, Brock Lesnar's Enforcer. I'm just listening. These are like songs that didn't last long.
You're good, yeah.
Thank you. These are songs that didn't last long, and I want people to be like, listen to it, because Uncaged is still one of my favorite listens. It's a shame that there's more songs that I wanted. I didn't, there's another one that Dr. Def Steve Williams used, Viscera used, APA used, is that theme song that didn't last long. The best way I can describe it is Viscera used it, or Mabel used it in Royal Rumble 1999. The theme song he used before he got kidnapped by the Ministry. A lot of those wrestlers had it. It just didn't stay for long. And I do want to say that Jim Johnston's theme song does evolve. I'm fascinated, like by late 99 to like 2001, he started experimenting with electronic music. There's a little like trip hop elements, like China's theme song is an example. The My Time by Triple H is also another example. Ivory's theme song, Val Venus's theme song from 2000 when he had the white trunks. He started to experiment with that because he's known for having hard guitars, hard bluesy guitars, or simplistic bass kind of sound to his music. But in late 99, 2000, and he started to experiment. And even like Chris Benoit's theme song is for me the prototype of what a 2000 Jimmy Johnson song was like, because that was very like electronic kind of sounding. Even though it is the hard guitar, you get a lot of the Jim Johnston signature style in terms of theme song, but it was him experimenting more. There's many songs that I think I wrote it down. I legit wrote it down once upon a time, because I did question about one time doing a Twitch about wrestling themes, because that's a space that hasn't been cornered because of copyright issues.
Right. You mentioned the 1999 Royal Rumble. There's one theme song from that I want to get like a full clear version of, and they haven't released it. And it's Shane McMahon's theme from the 1999 Rumble.
I swear. So the weird thing is, right? There are people that go directly to, like, I don't know who's the holding company for WWE themes, but there are people that actually go to the direct companies. I don't know if it's Sony or anything like that. So they get like actual clear sounding theme songs. I don't know how they do it, because there's a YouTube channel that I follow. He gets clear sounding theme songs and is not unreleased. I'll have to go back and find it, and I'll send you the link to the YouTube channel. You probably know it already, but it's one of those YouTube channels that, it's one of those YouTube channels not readily easily to remember. The brand is not like, oh, it's blah blah blah, but they're ones I go to and I listen to, and also there's also the trappings, where sometimes people remix or remaster songs and add little bits into it. But he gets direct songs, the original titles, what's labeled under the publishing company that has the rights to the theme songs. Is weird. But yeah, that Shane McMahon song is that the one when he came out, and it almost sounds like the Rock's theme, because Rock had a myriad of themes. The Rock had you know the one I'm talking about, the one he had it like for one day, and it just didn't sound anything like the Rock's theme song. Not the juicy Biggie version like he had, the funky song, but he had that.
Yeah, the one with the pre-Jericho-tron. Yeah.
Yes, that one. Yeah, I know that Shane McMahon theme you're talking about. I think I've heard it on YouTube, but like a clear version of it. That's fine. I'll never say that would be a theme song that I'll be, I'll go after. The one that I'm trying to think of, there was another one that Uncaged didn't release, and I can't remember. There was one I was hoping to hear, but yeah, man, we could talk about theme songs for hours. I love talking about themes.
We could, but I have to go back to work.
So, sorry, dude. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, like, that's a good idea. We should do a video together just talking about wrestling themes, because you're right. We could legit go for hours.
We could. And then it'll be great because Jim Johnson is, they know they're all over the world. Ruckus is doing great, but when it comes to the goal of wrestling themes, as much as like Bruce Pritchard tried to shit on Jim Johnson, saying they all sounded the same, a lot of
Yep.
a lot of wrestling theme makers, a lot of composers, they do have their go-to style or sounding. That is true, because when Ruckus does have a particular sound that he has, when the rest of debuts, they have like a Ruckus special where it's bells and whistle before they evolve. Either they get their own in-house engineer or their own, theme song made. He has a specific style, which is, is not bad, but all composers have their own in-house generic style, but also they can flesh out, because he's got an expanded palette, Ruckus does, and so does Jim Johnston. And I do feel like you just look at me does not sound like a Bam Bam Bigelow song, okay?
No, not at all.
Exactly, I'm using that as an example to show that the guy has range. The orchestral stuff he does. I love the generic versions of "You're Gonna Pay." I like the bare bones version he had at Backlash. I'm happy they released on Uncaged. And then there's the more instrumental version that led to "You're Gonna Pay." Like, I like that version of Undertaker and the theme song.
I do too.
Right? And he comes into that shitty American Badass song. It is ironic that the least used theme song of his original run is now his main go-to theme song. It is, for me, the irony is like, because when he first started, that was the theme song he used, but it was only for a few months. So people associate American Badass with Rollin', and I do consider American Badass Undertaker and Deadman Undertaker as almost two separate characters, because I feel like when he cut his hair and he turned heel again, that was a fine tuning of the character, because American Badass was Undertaker's ego on full display. Like, the ones he needs to be reined in. When they turned heel, it was like, okay, we can dislike you because you're heel now, and I liked him as a bully, and that theme song worked. The instrumental of "You're Gonna Pay." So for me, it's "And You've Done It Now." I mean, like, the song is incredible. So yeah,
there you go. Has there been a favorite moment across all the content that you've done that you can point out and be like, that's my favorite thing I've ever done?
Okay, so this is gonna sound nothing crazy. So I've done a lot of things that I'm proud of. I've done QuizzleManias, done Survivor Series, but the two things, it has to be two, because they actually involve yourself. Great show for QuizzleMania. That's me successfully campaigning and getting someone on there. That for me, because you have to understand, I'm a kind of person, like, if I do something great in my life, or I have access to something, I just want to share it with hardworking, deserving people. And you very much wear your heart on your sleeve. You don't have an ego. You openly say, yeah, I want to do that. Other people be like, nah, if it's there, yeah, sure. Some people will act cool because they don't want to show how much they care. You care so much, you wear your heart on your sleeve. And when you said, man, I would love to do QuizzleMania, I was like, dude, you're one of the most knowledgeable guy in the wrestling space. I'm gonna make sure that it happens. To the point where it was borderline. I could see they were getting annoyed at me, and I was like, listen, guys, you have to do it. And then when people hopped on, that for me was a proud moment, even though it's slash memeing, but also well-meaning. That's what in the world of wrestling, you have to hammer things 10,000 times for it to get over, and flanderize it to a point. And then that became a thing, became a slogan, became a catchphrase, trying to make it into a hashtag. And then you did it, and I was happy, and I was so happy for you that a little boost it'll give you, in terms of appearing on there. And also Mocha Mondays is also the other thing I'm proud of, doing it with SB3, because it was Wrestling Daily, didn't have a show on a Monday. We were asked, would you be interested in doing it? And then it became a recurring thing, and we were allowed to, our own devices to do whatever we wanted to do. We had, interesting cold open intros, little recurring bits. I felt like I became the person that I am in terms of within a wrestling space by working with SP3. So for me, getting to work with him was being incredible. Working with Tempest, I mean, me and Tempest got like a long lasting. So Tempest and I are probably Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan in terms of how long we work together. But I guess SP3 is now my Jesse Ventura if I'm Gorilla Monsoon. And I've always felt like Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse's an underrated pairing, because for me, watching the pay-per-views, they were the main announcers. So I was kind of confused when people say, oh, Bobby and Gorilla. I never really had a Bobby and Gorilla growing up, because by the time I was watching, Bobby Heenan was doing announcing, of course, but it was Bobby and Vince for me. I was seeing on pay-per-views. I didn't really see Gorilla that much. So it was like going back on DVDs and videos, seeing okay, Gorilla and Bobby did interact on other things. Yeah, they did do Royal Rumble 93 together. Yeah, you know, the connection is there. But when I think of WrestleMania, you think of Jesse the Body Ventura and then the pendulum power breaker, and he's down, and then you hear that Gorilla. Those are the voices that I think. But yeah, Mocha Mondays is something I'm proud of, and Greg Cherry for QuizzleMania. And also doing fun stuff on the news as well with Tempest. Like my style was always have fun. You know, sometimes when people are a bit too serious, it's like I love wrestling for a reason, and wrestling. Some people are a bit too serious with it. It's like, can you just be a bit, you know, loose and relaxed about your hobbies that you enjoy? Don't be too serious about it, you know. But yeah, Mocha Mondays, and you know, doing Great Show for QuizzleMania. I mean, I made it. Is a positive impact. I like making positive impacts. If you know, if nothing else.
Absolutely. Now, I want to do a word association with you, and you can do just a word, a phrase, paragraph, whatever you want.
Okay.
And I want to start with Alex McCarthy.
Oh, that's my goat. That's my goat. That's my my sensei, my teacher. Like again, I'm seeing him again this for the show is coming, and SP3 because SP3 is in the UK. That's my goat. Humble guy, dude. If you met him, he's very unassuming about his accomplishments because he is a big deal, and you wouldn't know it because he doesn't tell people to their faces. Lovely guy, man. Like I feel so blessed to have met him and to have him in my life. Love that guy.
Your former Jack of all trades tag team championship partner, Matty Laws.
Matty Laws, lovely hair, cool guy. Love it. Like, listen, him and I, we start off like Rockabilly and Double J, Jesse James. We faced each other on a quiz, and we end up teaming up together like New Age Outlaws. We weren't champions for that long, but heart of gold, lovely guy. I'm so happy for you. I got to meet him and interact with him. So yeah, lovely guy, heart of gold.
We just talked about him, SP3.
SP3. Listen, one of the hardest working guys. I keep saying this. So every time when Becky goes, you know, Sports Illustrated says it, she's saying SP3. Okay, that's SP3 because he did the article. He's the reason for the season. Underrated guy, underrated, one of the most hardworking guys. A father himself, father of two. But the amount of work that he does, he loves wrestling. Like I love wrestling. I still love wrestling, but I go through phases where I can see when owners are screwing up fans out of their love of wrestling, so that kind of puts me off it. But this guy loves it. He loves going to the shows. He's underrated is what I want to use because he's one of the hardest working guys.
Tempest.
He's another guy that's again underrated. Very passionate. Passionate is the word. He's passionate about wrestling. He's another guy that he's born in 96, but he reminds me of when I was in my early 20s, my teens and 20s, and I was researching wrestling. That was before my time. When I was researching AWA, and I was like, AWA shut down when I was born. But I researched AWA, NWA, all the things are before me. He's like that. He's very much a savant for wrestling, but yeah, passionate guy. And I love working with him, and I love when he has his rants as well because, you know, he likes a specific type of wrestling. He's a work rate guy. And I'm the guy that grew up in 90s WWF. So I like work rate, but I also like the Gaga as well. So
Luke Owen.
Soul to the earth. What you see on the camera and off camera, same thing. Lovely guy. Again, another guy, you know, father, and he's just very much a gent. He oozes that like chilledness, and yeah, cool guy, man.
Ollie Davis.
All I can say is I was gonna make a joke with oily because, you know, oily. Let's go with that. But also, you know, a guy that carved out a lane, you know, that opened doors for a lot of people to get involved. You know, let's not forget there wasn't a time during the pandemic when everything was shut down and they did the little silly challenges, and you know, back when they used to do more things on that channel, you know, that it was a great place to go to check things out. So I do salute him for steering the ship, especially with the brand that was once on television, then migrated to YouTube. So, you know, he's a pioneer in a lot of ways, you know. So
Sean Ross Sapp.
SRS, one of the best when it comes to scoops, man. One of the best when it comes to scoops. And he gets a lot of flack online. There are a lot of I don't want to say SRS derangement syndrome or wherever it is, but there are a lot of people there are a lot of people that would actually derail their whole life just to get get under his skin. But I do respect what he's done with Fightful, and the Fightful selectors, fed a lot of mouths over that side. I get Grapsody, so thank you, Sean Rossap. If anything, if anything, to reduce him to a single thing, thank you for Grapsody.
Now, is there anybody else that you'd like to recognize as someone who's helped you out with your creator journey?
Good question. I've Pete Quinnell, because when I was I think he was the first guy that I worked with when I was in the studio, so he showed me the ropes. So Pete Quinnell, again, Tempest, SB3, working with SB3 on Mocha Mondays, and also working with him on NXT 2.0 was fun times. Legit, we were there in the basement level watching people like Tiffany Stratton grow, people like Bron Breakker grow, and we did it together. And so when we watch them right now, we're like, oh, look, it's like watching our kids graduate or whatever it is, even though they're a few years younger than me. But working with him on that stuff was great. Doing the SmackDown pod with Tempest was great. It's just the opportunity to work in front of the camera and to do online has been incredible. But Alex McCarthy, SB3, Pete Quinnell, Tempest, Luke Owen, because me and Luke Owen, we did was it Odeon Cinema thing together. So is it Odeon Cinema? It's one of the cinemas, but I worked with him in front of the camera, and again, I learned from working with people, so he's another one. So yeah, all of them basically. I learned from I've learned from you, dude. I come on here and do stuff. I learn from everyone, to be honest. You never stop learning. I think that's a mistake people make. They think, oh, you stop learning at some point. Nah, man. The game of life doesn't end until your life ends. You're always learning new things.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Sat, my friend, it is always a pleasure to speak with you. And if people want to find you on social media, where can they do so?
So I've made it easy. I'm on Twitter. Mostly interact with me about wrestling on Twitter at SatNext2. I talk about wrestling from time to time. I also like film and TV shows as well. I got vast interest, but I'm mostly known for wrestling. So it makes sense why people only want to follow me for the wrestling stuff. But I remember when I got back into Twitter, I was very much film, Twitter, and wrestling. And then when I started doing Wrestling Daily and WrestleTalk, it became mostly about wrestling. But SatNext2, that's also my Letterboxd account handle as well, SatNext2. So, if you want to talk about films or, follow me over my film recommendations, go on there. But yeah, man. And also sometimes Greg invites me from time to time, to do jokes. Jack of all trades.
Which I need to get back to. It's been a while.
Listen, life be lifing, So
I have stories. Thank you so much for joining us, Sats. Go check out Sat on Twitter at SatNext2. And thank you all for watching this episode of Greg Talks to People. You can follow me on all forms of social media at Greg Cherry Brand. And until next time, be kind to each other.